making us Pensacola's hometown sports network. ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on HD Radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming online at our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
Es hora de hablar claro. Tú no gastarías más por obtener exactamente lo mismo, ¿verdad? No. ¿O lo harías? Entonces, cuando te digo que Straight Talk Wireless funciona en las mismas torres que los grandes operadores, pero te cobra mucho menos, ya ves a dónde voy, ¿correcto? Straight Talk opera en las redes 4G LTE más grandes y confiables de Estados Unidos por la mitad de precio. Obtén el plan Straight Talk con límite de $45 con 25 GB de datos y alta velocidad sin contrato, solo en Walmart.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up, with the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K on this Thursday, May 23rd. It is noon, and we are here to talk some football and have some fun for the next hour. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me, as always, Coach K, and we are here in the ESPN studio. If you want to call us on the ESPN studio line and be a part of today's show, you can do so by dialing 972-1945. Again, that number, 972-1945. Coach, just diving right into some of the headlines from today's show. Obviously, before we get into these headlines, we'll be joined by a guest coming up here in about 14 minutes at 12:15. He's going to be joining us here on Talk Football. Coach, I'll let you do the honors of introducing who we're going to have on the show.
Okay, well, I'll probably introduce him again before he comes on, but you're going to get a real kick out of this guy. He is Mr. Pro Football, I think personified. He's recognized as one of the top pro football writers in the country. You've probably seen him on a number of national TV shows. He comes on as a pro football expert. But anyway, it's Vic Carucci of the Buffalo News. Also, he does articles for Sports Illustrated, for Sporting News. As I said, he's written a number of national articles and is on national TV quite a bit. So we're gonna find out quite a bit from him. He gets a lot of inside information because he's a good guy and he has the trust of coaches and people in administration as well.
All right, Coach. Again, that interview coming up at 12:15 later on in today's show, so be sure to listen for that. And if you do happen to miss it, maybe you got to go into work or whatever, you have to step away from the radio or the streaming device. Don't worry, we will get this posted on our podcast a little later on today. All right, Coach, diving into some of the headlines. College football, looks like the Texas Longhorns have extended Tom Herman's contract 2 more years. And, Coach, after their great performance last season, and especially in the Sugar Bowl against a very good Georgia football team, Coach, it's well-deserved that he gets that extension because he's got this team moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that would be expected. In fact, anything short of that would have been a slight. But no, that's expected, and a good move by Texas. They should have done that.
All right, Coach. There's kind of an interesting article here on ESPN's college football page. It's about Mack Brown, and basically the article is discussing Mack Brown being back in college football. And you know, when a guy takes time off from college football, especially the length that Mack Brown took off, the question when he comes back is going to be, can he still run a program? Can he still be that caliber coach that he was before he left? And Coach, I think this is a little bit of a ridiculous question to ask for Mack Brown. He's one of the one of the top coaches in college football. He's a guy that had great success there at Texas. He kind of put that North Carolina program on the map a little bit. And, Coach, he's back at North Carolina now. People are asking, can he still run a program? I think the answer to that is absolutely yes. Mack Brown will probably still be able to run a program at North Carolina.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I think Mack will do a good job, very good job. And plus, keep in mind, he's familiar with those people up there. He was the head coach at North Carolina before going to Texas. So he's familiar with that. He's familiar with the recruiting possibilities and limitations there. And he's a good football guy. He didn't, all that knowledge that he accumulated and experience over the years didn't evaporate. It didn't go anywhere. And he will do a very good job. There have been a number of other coaches that have been out for a while and have come back and done an outstanding job. And we could name quite a few.
All right, Coach, I want to ask a question here because this is an article that Sports Illustrated has, and it's something that, you know, when we're talking about the spring leagues, when we're talking about the AAF and what happened there and everything there, the XFL, it's supposed to get started next year. Coach, when we take a look at all of this and we leave out one league, we don't talk about one league, and that, of course, is the AFL, the Arena Football League. Coach, you take a look at it. If you pay attention to it, I think a lot of people were expecting the AAF to almost kind of be a farm system for the NFL. The AFL, Coach, believe it or not, has actually become a little bit of a farm system for the NFL as far as coaches go, because you've got situations to where Matt LaFleur played in the AFL. You've got a guy like Jay Gruden, who is the coach of the Orlando Predators, now an NFL coach, and Coach Kurt Warner. I believe Kurt Warner played in the AFL a little bit as well. So, Coach, there's just, the AFL. Is it safe to say that maybe there might be a correlation or a connection? Two totally different types of football. There's two totally different types of games. Field's a lot shorter. There's no sidelines. It's kind of a crazy circus type game with the AFL. But Coach, is it safe to say there might be some type of correlation here to where players can go to the AFL if they have success? That can be a streamline for them into the NFL.
Very, very distant, Jordan. To be honest with you, I mean, you're right. It's a totally different kind of game, and it's not really relatable to football. Some people might think, well, why wouldn't it be? You're throwing, you're catching, you're running with the ball. But believe me, there's a huge, huge difference, and I just don't see much correlation there. Yeah, occasionally somebody's going to come through there, and if you play the game and you get in the right situation and with the right timing, you're going to have a chance to play, and that's what happened in a couple of cases.
All right, Coach, let's stay inside the NFL and look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, this is a team that throughout the offseason and throughout the regular season last season, they were marred through different controversies and different topics that were brought up, whether it was Antonio Brown. It started off, it was Le'Veon Bell, and then Le'Veon Bell kind of transitioned into Antonio Brown, and the year just never was able to get off to a great start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was always something there that was a problem, that was an issue. Coach, now you're hearing from guys like Juju Smith-Schuster. He's talking about the receiver room. He's not in any way, shape, or form throwing anybody under the bus when he says this, but he is saying that now there has been a change in the receiver room. Things are different there. The relationship in that receiver room is 10 times better than it was last year or any of the years before that he was there at Pittsburgh. And Ben Roethlisberger is, speaking out, saying, look, he's stepping up to be a leader. He stepped up to be a leader last year, but he's even taking more steps this year. They've been spending the past couple of weeks before OTAs got started at a cabin out on a lake somewhere in up there around Pittsburgh, and just kind of working on the relationship as a team and trying to rebuild that chemistry. And Coach, this is something that the Steelers, they desperately need.
Yeah, they do need this, and of course Roethlisberger is the ideal guy to do it. I'm sure that there was some they put their heads together between the coaching staff and Roethlisberger and whomever, and made it something that was easy for these people to do, to get them together. But it's an absolute must. You're right. I think they had some division problems, and well, we know they did, and they still probably do. There's some underlying tensions in that locker room, and people are having to maybe gear up a little bit more than normal to say that, hey, I'm backing Big Ben, and you know how that goes. They want a number of people to step up as leaders and back their cause. So, having said all that, the intent is good. Now you don't want it to carry over to be something that somebody feels bad about, like, well, I wasn't invited.
Right.
So you pretty much, if you do that, you start that, you pretty much got to insist on defense getting together and, other people getting together as well.
All right, Coach, let's stay inside the NFL. We look at the situation with Adam Gase. This is the guy that when he accepted the job with the New York Jets, he thought he was just going to be a head coach. Now he's an interim GM after they got rid of their GM last week. And, Coach, you look at this situation for him. He's come out and it kind of was released last week that, Adam Gase was never really a fan. He didn't want Le'Veon Bell. And then some people started talking, well, with him being the interim GM, he's already made a couple of moves of trading a couple of players away, but could we see him trade Le'Veon Bell away? Adam Gase has come out and said that's absolutely ridiculous to think that we would trade him away. And, Coach, you got to think with the amount of money they put in him, that would just be wasting money. That you might as well just put money in a dumpster somewhere there in New Jersey where they play rather than have him on the team, because if you were to trade him, it's just a waste of money.
Yeah, you can't do it now. That horse has left the barn, and you cannot cut your nose off to spite your face. Now, they could have some discipline problems, which is not unheard of with this guy. And if that happens, he needs to react quickly. And he may have to end up suspending or doing some other things with him, but you can't trade him away right now. That's pretty much out of the question. You just got to hope that you can there's been enough said that it's not going to be the most pleasant relationship. I can tell you that.
Right.
But you got to do the best you can to heal things up and go play.
All right, Coach, and let's move on here to our final story before we take our first time out of the show. Looks like, Coach, we have our new cities for the 2021 draft and 2023 draft. Coach, they are going once again to NFL host cities. That kind of seems to be the path that they're moving through here. And, Coach, it is going to be in 2021 Cleveland and 2023 Kansas City. So hopefully they're going to be finding some indoor areas, because both of those places still not exactly warm around late April, early May.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll have that covered. But listen, this has gotten to be such a big deal. I mean, this is a rivalry. It's such a big deal that now they can, with all confidence, they can move it from city to city and have a huge, spectacular type event. And that's what it's gotten to be. It means a lot of money now to the cities. Think about how many people came into Nashville and what this meant for the city of Nashville this year. Yes, absolutely. Cities are going to be vying for it just like they vie for the Super Bowl. And NFL's going to make money on it too, because you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to get paid for moving that Super Bowl to a city. They'll have some type something good for them financially as well.
All right, Coach. Well, we're going to take our first time out of the show. When we come back, we will have a very special guest joining us right here on Talk Football with Coach K. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up next right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Big or bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
100 years of hard work can take you far, and no one knows that better than Goodyear. In 1918, we started the Akron Wingfoots basketball team, laced up and took to the court. And we've been outperforming the rest ever since. Goodyear proudly celebrates our 100th anniversary in basketball and our relentless dedication to being unstoppable. Goodyear, more driven.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. And Coach, we are now joined by a very special guest, so I will do the honors of turning it over to you and letting you do the introductions here on Talk Football.
Yes, yes, indeed. We're fortunate to have an old friend, really, Vic Carucci, and Vic is well known nationally. A lot of you have probably seen him on a number of the national TV shows when they're talking about professional football in particular. He's the former president of the Pro Football Writers Association, special correspondent with Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, and he's had other national publications. He writes for the Buffalo News, has been in Buffalo, left for a while and went over to Cleveland. He's back in Buffalo, which is good. And Vic, we're very appreciative for you taking the time to come on with us.
Well, I'm appreciative of you having me on, and every time I hear your voice, Kay, or think about you, it's always great memories because you were wonderful to work with, and time we got to spend together in Buffalo in the very early stages of this career you were talking about with that biography. I love thinking about that, but also it just makes you realize how many years it's all been that we've done this stuff.
Well, you can believe that. You're right there. Well, listen, Vic, you're going to dive right in on a number of subjects here that come up quite frequently, and we got an inside look. Let's talk about Buffalo at this point. Where do you see them? Talk a little bit about Josh Allen, whether you feel, whether the common feeling is up there that is he going to be able to get the consistency from an accuracy standpoint to be a winner in this league, and then I want to move to the draft on Buffalo. Throwing out maybe too many things right now, but let's talk about where they are right now and about Josh Allen.
Yeah, everything, of course, centers on where Josh Allen is in year two versus his rookie season. And those accuracy questions that you bring up were what dogged him, frankly, from his time at Wyoming. And there were those who questioned him ending up as the 7th overall pick of the draft or top 10 pick period because of some of those accuracy questions that were there. A player well below 60% completions in that lower 50% range, that was troubling to especially NFL analysts, former players, and former coaches that I spoke with, analysts, those who know this game well, and knowing you and all your experience working with the passing game and quarterbacks. The general theory is if you weren't accurate in college, you don't magically become accurate as a pro. And of course, even when you work at it, even when you address those mechanical issues and such that with your quarterback skill, that doesn't necessarily translate. And in fact, I guess more often than not, doesn't work out that a player improves his accuracy as a pro quarterback. It can happen. There are some instances where we can cite that happening, but it seems like through the years, it's been a point that I think for scouts, for teams to sort of steer away from. If they don't necessarily steer away from those guys, they wouldn't maybe take them as high as he was taken. But the physical skill is there, the immense athleticism, the velocity with which he can throw, the size, combination of size and ability, athletic ability that he has, very much like a Cam Newton type of body. And to that end, Buffalo's, I'd say, taken its biggest step to try to improve him, besides trying to get people around him to catch his passes and protect him. But the hiring of Ken Dorsey, and you know that name, Kay, played in the league and coached in Carolina, and was credited with doing a lot of good work with Cam Newton. And I think the Bills coaches who know, of course, Sean McDermott was a defensive coordinator in Carolina. Brandon Beaton, the GM, was in the front office in Carolina as assistant GM, among other roles. They are looking to Dorsey, who is now the new quarterbacks coach, to work with Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator. Between the two of them, they're saying, okay, he's got some people who could really impact his Josh's game positively.
Right. Well, let me jump to their draft and how you feel about the draft. Of course, everybody feels like they're a winner the day after the draft. But I had a couple of questions about their draft picks. But what is the prevailing attitude there, Vic?
I'd say you got to kind of take collectively what they did with their free agent moves and the draft as kind of one big picture, because they were very aggressive, Kay, as you know, in the open market. They signed 18 or so free agents total, and 13 of them were offensive players. So the clear mandate after a season in which the 2018 season, their defense finished second overall in yards allowed and ranked pretty well in other categories. The offense was awful in so many places, and the feeling was that and Brandon Beane said this, the GM, hey, we didn't do enough to really help Josh or help this offense last year, or help Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, who of course had great success as an assistant with the Patriots, and then as offensive coordinator at Alabama in 2017. So they focused on that in the offseason, and 6 of those 13 offensive players are O-linemen. And Kay, you could conceivably see an entirely new starting 5 in front of Josh Allen, which, frankly, as you well know, is not typical in almost any level. Well, I should say at the NFL level. Maybe it's more typical, I guess, at lower levels of football, but not the NFL, to have that much turnover on your O-line in 1 year. So start there, and then what that did was, I think, provide a foundation for the draft. I know you asked me about that, to then go for specific spots like defensive tackle, which is where they started with Ed Oliver from Houston. And he was, a highly regarded player. They sat there and got him at number 9. There had been some talk after his outstanding 2017 season that come 2019, if he had come out as he did early as a junior, that he'd be possibly the top pick of the draft. Well, he was a very disruptive force in college and did a lot of things. Didn't play as well, I thought, in 18 as he did in 17, but still a really good athlete. Was dunking a basketball, I'm told, hanging on the rim when he was in 7th grade, according to one of his high school coaches told me that. So a very talented athlete, and someone who, after the retirement of Kyle Williams, who had been there 13 years on their D-line, gives them an interior force, they hope. And then Cody Ford from Georgia, you bring him, Oklahoma. I'm sorry, Cody Ford from Oklahoma, the second-round pick that they got, could very well be plugged right in at right tackle. And he comes from that Oklahoma team, and working with Kyler Murray and all that great offensive explosive talent there, to bring that level to the Bills. And he's a big, strong, nasty guy, and I think they need that. How important it is to have attitude on that line, and I think he'll bring that, as well as a cerebral sense that's also necessary. So they could end up starting him right off at right tackle, along with the other people that they have, and probably the most important free agent guy they brought in is Mitch Morse, who was a center for Kansas City on that very explosive Kansas City offense.
Yeah, I agree. They did a good job there. The only questions I had, Vic, was when you look at your board, as you know, there's certain players that you red flag. They have flags that you got to be at least aware of. And I would have had a couple of red flags on Oliver. Anybody, pull what he did on the sideline with a coach, you got to be aware of that. And the other, though, Cody Ford, he was just so slow. I'm sure he's probably a little faster than he ran at the combine, but he's not that you have to be fast to be an offensive tackle.
No, I know what you. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
You hit 2 great points there. So the issue with Ed Oliver and what happened with Major Applewhite, the former coach at Houston. And I, tried to do as much research as I could before the draft, because you sort of, that name kept a dotted line to the Bills, right? For the projection. So I wanted to find out a lot more about Ed Oliver in the weeks leading up, and I tried to talk to a lot of people in his background. Of course, the Bills, you would assume, did a much more thorough analysis and have the resources, and that's what they're paid to do. But at least in my work as a journalist, trying to find out what I could, what it kept coming back to was for sure he is a competitor and a kid who definitely plays with a chip, with an attitude, for sure. And I think the issue with you never want to see a player have the encounter that he did. So he wasn't playing in a game against Toledo that Houston had, and the rule that Major had was if you're not active for the game, you don't wear one of those oversized coats. I guess it was a kind of a chillier day, and he put it on anyway, even though he wasn't playing and he was in the bench area wearing the coat. And Major told him to take the coat off, and the kid, obviously didn't like that. So they, I guess, as they were heading up the tunnel for halftime, they had to be separated, or at least, especially Ed was pulled away by staff and by some teammates. And then he didn't return to the sideline for the second half. One of the assistant coaches I spoke with there, said he regretted that he had been with Ed from high school, and he said he wished he had been more attentive to that situation. Didn't realize it was happening when it happened. That was his version, and felt that had he been able to get to it sooner, it wouldn't have maybe escalated the way it did. Now the kid says all is great between him and Major Applewhite. Major played it down afterwards, so whatever that's worth, but nonetheless, it happened, and you can't ignore that it happened. But how big of a deal is it, and how much does it mean with him being with the Bills is all we'll see. And then quickly on Cody Ford, there's definitely more of a plotting kind of guy there, which is why I think he ends up. He could end up inside. Obviously, you talk about the speed. You want to see nimble feet and quickness at all your line positions, but I think especially probably at left tackle. So I think starting him out on the right side, he's got the length, he's got the strength, he's got those elements. I think it's at least worthy to see him there. But I do get a sense, Kay, that it's not in stone as to where he would end up.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I just have a real problem with somebody that has the tendency to do what Oliver did. That tends to show its ugly head again, Vic, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
Could I impose on you to hang with us here? We need to take a break, and then I've got some. I want to broaden out and get on some other teams in the AFC East.
It would be my pleasure.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees. Like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume. Like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you a big guy fed up with clothes that don't fit? Here's a tip. Head to DXL. Anyone can make a bigger shirt, but DXL makes clothes that actually fit. It's all they do. Want to know their secret? Okay, they've spent years developing their own sizing patterns to make sure it's a comfortable fit every time and every size. Good luck finding that anywhere else. So head to DXL.com and check out a store near you. DXL Big and Tall, built for you at DXL.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. We'll now pick up where Coach left off with our interview here with Vic Carucci.
Hello, Vic. Still with us?
Yeah, I am still here, Coach.
Okay, thanks. Listen, I'm going to move quickly because I don't want to run out of time here.
Okay.
You've got such an overview of the whole league, really, but I want to maybe concentrate at this point on the AFC East, and let's move to the Jets. And there's a big quagmire down there. Obviously, there are a lot of people pointing at that situation, but there's some things that I'm hearing behind the scenes that this may not be a big surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah, the move to fire Mike McKagan as GM didn't come as a real shock to me. I found it to be a situation that was tenuous to begin with from the moment Adam Gase was hired, mainly because left over from when Todd Bowles was there. There was some friction there and a feeling, I guess, on Bowles' part that, that this really wasn't someone he felt was his style of doing things, maybe being a little too patient and maybe not feeling enough urgency, whatever. And I think that was a similar thought that Adam brought to the table now. Without question, it seems like Adam Gase had a definitive sense of what he wanted done. He met with reporters today in New York and was, and emphasized that he did not undercut or do anything to, that this wasn't, that they couldn't get along personally, whatever. He said this was strictly a decision by ownership. Fine, however it happened. But, the one thing that does stand out in my mind, and our good friend Bill Polian, the Hall of Fame general manager, who you know very, very well, and you were responsible for, frankly, I don't know if a lot of people know that, for bringing into the Buffalo Bills organization where he began his Hall of Fame career. But Bill recently on Sirius XM NFL radio was saying that one of the things that really troubles him about the situation, among many, he feels, of course, that Gase has taken on this power role, and he's going to have to give as Bill put it, the good housekeeping seal of approval on whoever the new GM is, and that'll be interesting. But Bill said the thing that stuck out to him, Kay, and he was troubled by was the owner, Christopher Johnson, saying that he wants someone who sees, that can pull together all aspects of the organization, not just focus on the football part of it, and that everything is on like the same level, that every department, everybody in the building is on the same page, and that the GM is leading this. And Bill said, I really don't know what that means, because he said, I don't want a marketing person to have a say in who's starting at left tackle, or someone else who is not on the football side jumping in on our backup quarterback situation. He said all of this should funnel through where the GM and the coach collectively or separately report to the owner, and that should be kind of the organizational structure.
Yeah, well, listen, we could go on for hours. We could have a whole dissertation on what is the best way to go. I could say to you, now let me tell you, Bill Polian, and Bill's been on the show numerous times. He's one of the best. He's one of the really, truly outstanding personnel evaluators to ever come along. I believe that sincerely, and a great work ethic and so on. I can't say enough about Bill, but I will tell you this. If you look at the league now, leave Bill out of it because he's an exception. He's the odd guy out on this. But if you look at the league right now, and you see the most successful football operation maybe that we've ever seen, and there's one guy that makes sure everything runs in the right direction.
Sure.
And that's up in New England, right?
Yeah,
He's the head coach. And if you look back over the history of the National Football League, if you look at Lombardi, Bill Walsh, Chuck Noll, just you can name them one after the other. All of the great football teams that came along usually had that guy at the head of the organization. Over everything was also the head coach. Now he would bring people in, qualified, capable people in to do the job. And Bill's right when he says something about a marketing guy. There are people, general manager means there are 32 teams. It means 32 different things. If you got a description from every team, you'd have 32 different descriptions of a GM. And if you've got a marketing guy who's never strapped on a headgear, saying who should play and who shouldn't play and who could coach and who can't coach, you've got a masterful mess up on your hands,
No, Kay, let me jump in on this because I live this, having worked in Cleveland for as long as I did, and my role was on the internal media side with the Browns. I was not on the football side. The lane was clearly defined. I knew what I was there for, and I had more than enough to keep me busy and for me to make sure my head stayed above water with all of that, radio and TV and writing and all that. But being within that building and in close proximity to everything, I witnessed firsthand the very thing Bill was talking about, the feelings of those who were never involved with football in any possible way. Whether it's you're talking playing, coaching, scouting, whatever, who somehow elevated to that point or fought to have that kind of power. And those power struggles were to the ruination, I thought, of the team. And now, Cleveland's perennially had problems. I'm not going to say every year it's always been that, but it sure as heck was over the course of time that I was there, and I was told, before then and afterward, but I witnessed it, and it was unhealthy. Again, they moved on from those people, and ownership maybe has it right now. We'll see with John Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens and the group that's there now. I'm hoping for their sake because I still have a lot of friends there that I'd like to see have success, but I'm telling you, everything Bill described and you described, you've got a problem because too much of what happens in this game, unfortunately, is, hey, I want my piece of the action and what looks good for me, and how do I come out of this versus what's good for us? What's going to make because if the thing wins, if the franchise is successful, everybody wins.
Well, you hit that right on the head. No question about it. Here quickly, because I don't want to run out of time. The Jets, and I will tell you that I know that there was at least one qualified good coach that the Jets would have liked to have had that turned the job down because of the general manager. Now, some of this word, I understand, was so much out on the street that Johnson had to have picked up on it, and the people that he trusts have probably went back to him with quite a bit of gunpowder there. So I'm not surprised that this happened. Now, just having skipped over that, and we could talk about each draft. I'd love to have the time to do that. I don't think we do. I think they had one good draft pick, the Williams from Alabama. There's some real question marks on the rest of them here. But let's move quickly to that team up north, the one that
the one that goes to Super Bowls every year.
Yeah, the one that goes and wins.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this real quick. I think there'll be some transition on the assumption that Rob Gronkowski is not coming back to play. He is the very best that I've ever seen at the position of tight end, and maybe one of the very best at any position in football. I'm a lot biased because the kid grew up only a couple of miles from my house in Buffalo, and I've known him since he was in grammar school, and he went to school with one of my younger daughters, and spent time at our house and such. But I watched him, and it was just a real incredible thing to see him become what he became. But I think for his health and such, he's I think gotten enough out of the game. But it'll be interesting with Tom Brady. They're always going to contend, and I think it was a smart thing to get that deal done with Julian Edelman. Get that contract signed. The way they approach the draft is always something because they don't have to go for the big guys. Now, granted, they're always picking lower anyway, but I still think when I say bigger, I mean the bigger names. And I just think they fill holes judiciously. I think they've had a solid off season of addressing things, and I think it's going to be once again their championship to win.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And really, if you look at their draft, they do. They're extremely judicious in how they draft. But they have, I think, of their first 3 draft picks, they've got 3 starters. The receiver from Arizona State. Now, whether he starts or not, he's going to be as effective as a starter because I think he's going to. And they need that guy that can take the top off, and he can do that.
He can do that.
Plus, he's a big kid. The defensive back, Williams from Vanderbilt, I think will be a starter for him, maybe as a safety, and maybe he's that box safety. But he's a good one. He's a big kid who can run. And the other guy I call a starter, I think is going to be in their own passing situation, and that's Winovich, the kid from Michigan, defensive lineman.
Yeah,
they got a good linebacker in Harris from Alabama. I don't know if he can start, especially with them getting Jamie Collins back. But listen, they may have gotten the steal of the draft, I will tell you, in Jared Stidham in the 4th round, 133rd pick, as quarterback from Auburn who can sit there for 3-4 years behind Brady and end up being their quarterback. He's got all the right stuff, Vic. He really does. He checks all the boxes.
I love the assessment, Keneal Henry. As I said, the receiver I think is going to be a very he is to me when you look at a team that loses a guy like Gronkowski and the passing game is so vital. N'Keal Harry, but was so vital to everything that they do. Being able to consistently keep teams on their heels, and then it opens things for the run. Real quick though, too, we should say this about Miami. As much as a lot of people have written off that they're just going to kiss this season goodbye in a way, just don't be so sure about that because. I think Brian Flores as a head coach down there, coming from that New England way of doing things, has brought a lot of order to that building. I think there's you talk about a cultural change that's gone on, and they've got a quarterback playing in Josh Rosen, if he, assuming he ends up being the starter, which I'm guessing he will, but with a lot of vengeance. He is coming at this thing with a what kind of motivator it is for somebody to want to prove the world wrong. And he's got a lot of big old, I don't know that there's a bigger chip on anyone's shoulder than his.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, if he was in the draft this year, I think they got a steal. He would have been the number one quarterback, I think, available. I've got him down. I'm glad you said that about the Dolphins because, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. The first 6 players taken as probable starters for him.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be a lot better, I think.
Yeah, that's it's so the outside noise and look, I'm a part of it. The writing part of it, the broadcasting part of it. Everybody just says, well, we're just throwing stuff out there. But I do try to talk with people, and when they look at this thing, I mean, the media there has said, well, this is a tank year. They're tanking for the quarterback they want next year's draft. And look, all of that may prove to be true. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea. But I'm just saying, one thing that people forget about that, players never, that is never their way. Players don't want to play to set up somebody else to take their job. And, oh, by the way, coaches only get a finite amount of time to show that they can get another contract and stay with their job. So it's a tough, incredibly competitive world, and I don't see, by any stretch, anybody who's going to be actually coaching and playing for the Dolphins buying into any tank idea. Others can say it. The ones who are actually doing it are not going there.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. There's no such animal, really.
Right.
I couldn't even conceive of anybody.
Yeah.
And now, granted, the best quarterback that I've seen in a long, long time is going to come out next year. Not this year. I'm sorry, he's got 2 years left. That's a kid at Clemson.
Yeah. Oh, the Clemson kid. Oh, yeah, for sure. I was thinking of the other kid from Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa. But and I'll tell you who's excited about him is Brian Daboll, the Bills' offensive coordinator, who was, of course, the OC for the Crimson Tide, and he just said, just watch this kid. I mean, this kid's amazing. Now, he's got his own guy in Josh Allen, and I'm sure they want to make sure that, there is no, if things go the way Buffalo expects, they're going to be nowhere near able to draft a quarterback next year. But, they are, because they believe in the guy they've got. But as you mentioned, too, it's so important to see how a guy, that year 1 to year 2 jump has got to be significant. I'm not saying it's impossible to get better after year 2 on. You should be doing that. But you know this better than I do, and I've heard it from you and others, that's the jump you expect, right, from year 1 to year 2. And so, we'll see.
Yeah, it happens that way more often than not. Vic, I could stay on a couple of hours with you. Could I get you to agree to come back on sometime before the season?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. I love talking ball with you, Kay, anytime.
I would really appreciate it. I'm sure our audience would out there. And we'll get on to the entire football league, National Football League. Vic, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
All right, Kay, my pleasure. And, all the best through the holiday. Safe one for you, your family, and everybody listening.
Same, Vic. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wings are now on Beef O'Brady's 2 for $20 deal. Wings?
Wings. Bigger bang, same buck. Pick a starter plus 2 entrees. Like 10 of Beef's famous wings, still $20. 2 for $20. Worth every penny.
Tower, this is Alpha Squad. Something smells mighty good up here. Who's hungry? Over.
Beef's 2 for $20. Pick a starter and 2 entrees, like Beef's new chicken tender Parmesan skillet, still just $20.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5, also on your HD radio at HD2 98.7 WYCT, and streaming on our website, ESPNpensacola.com. Welcome back into Talk Football with Coach K. I'm Jordan Glass, joined alongside me as always, Coach K. If you want to be a part of today's show, call us at 972-1945. Again, it's 972-1945. And Coach, as we do at this point in every show, we want to say thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Bob Tyler Toyota, Hill Kelly Dodge, Levin Papantonio Law Firm, Beef O'Brady's, Tom Thumb, the Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. The list just goes on and on. Coach, a lot of great sponsors here in our community, and they do are a lot of great sponsors here on the show, and they do a lot in the community, I should say.
Well, that's for sure. We're awfully proud of our sponsors, and we're certainly appreciative for all they do for us and for the community.
Absolutely, Coach, and we've got a couple of special deals going on here. Pensacola Indoor Gun Range. You go in, you tell them you heard about us right here on Talk Football. They'll let you use the range 50% off. So that's a great deal to use there as well. Coach, let's get into some of the headlines from around the world of football. Texas gives Tom Herman a 2-year contract extension. Coach, this is a little bit of a no-brainer after the way that the season played out for the Longhorns last year, going to the Sugar Bowl and knocking off a very good Georgia team in that Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, good deal for Texas, and it's a good deal for Herman, but they certainly needed to do that.
All right, Coach, let me ask you this question now, because Texas A&M has now started paying their defensive coordinator $2 million, as it was announced yesterday afternoon that Mike Elko has agreed to a new 3-year contract with the school that will pay him $2.1 million a year. Coach, is $2.1 million a year. Is that a little steep for a coordinator?
Little steep. Yeah, I think there are a couple of coordinators around the league now that are in that category. And I think the defensive coordinator at Clemson is one of them, Venables. But my goodness, I would have never believed that. I can remember playing in the National Football League for $15,000 a year. Wow. So that's it's a little different.
It definitely is. And Dave Aranda from LSU and Kevin Steele from Auburn are the other two coaches that get paid at least $2 million a year to be coordinators. Coach, this is definitely something that, wow. Yeah, I mean, I can remember it used to be a big deal when a coordinator made $1 million. Now they're already starting with a $2 million club, so that's just absolutely ridiculous. But we'll see how it pays off for the Aggies this upcoming season. All right, Coach, we've got our destinations for the 2021-2022 draft. 2021, it's going to be in Cleveland. 2022, it's going to be in Kansas City. Coach, are you a fan of the way they're doing the draft now, where they're moving around from NFL host city to host city, or were you more of a fan of it being in one spot and just staying there?
No, I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal for the fans, and it's a good thing for football in general. It certainly brings in quite a bit of money as well as interest to a community. So look what it did for Nashville. I mean, this past year.
That's right, yeah.
So anyway, no, I think it's a good thing. It's certainly something that, what is another example of whatever the NFL touches, it turns to gold.
Absolutely. All right, Coach Adam Gase, the new head coach and interim GM for the New York Jets, comes out and says, look, we didn't overpay Le'Veon Bell, and it would be ridiculous to trade him because of how much we did pay him. And, Coach, it's a fair statement to make. If they were to get rid of him, it would definitely be a bad move.
Yeah, they couldn't now. They're too far in the bucket now. I can't do that.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Coach K, I'm Jordan Glass. You guys have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPN Pensacola.